Willow is an extremely useful and versatile plant that I think we should all be utilising more in our gardens and on our farms. It can be chipped and used as green mulch on beds, or it can be used in compost piles. It can be used for willow weaving. I personally use mine a lot for weaving hoops at Christmas time, and it can also be used as a windbreak, like I've used it here, which doubles up as a privacy screen. It is also a really great haven for wildlife and beneficial organisms. It can even be used as firewood, and there's so many more benefits to willow that I'm not even going to cover in this video today. In this video I'm going to be diving a little bit deeper into the benefits of willow and also taking some cuttings to help me with some specific problems that I'm having here on my flower farm. Hopefully you'll be inspired to take some willow cuttings yourself and discover the benefits that it has to offer. I first started growing willow 4 years ago when I put in this hedge that we have behind me here, and I put it in A, for a bit of privacy, B, as a bit of a wind shelter for this field that is one of my old flower fields, and C, to use the willow for making hoops like I mentioned earlier on. Since planting this hedge, I've discovered more of the benefits that willow has to offer, and I'm looking to increase my stock today by taking some more cuttings and planting willow elsewhere around the farm. There's a couple of areas here on the farm where I really think willow is going to have a positive impact, and one of those places is my annual flower field, which I'm standing in here. And this field is new. I only started growing flowers in it last year after a year of prep, so it's kind of been going for 2 years now. This field is quite exposed. We have got a bank around the edge of the field, which you can probably see behind me there, which might offer some wind protection, I'm not quite sure. And then there's also a hedge to this side of me here. But what I would like to do is plant willow all around this field to act as a windshield and also to provide some habitat for beneficial organisms like birds and insects that can help me out with pest problems that I might have here in the field. This field also holds a particularly large amount of water. It's quite saturated here at the moment in January. We haven't had a particularly wet winter, but we have had quite a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks, which has kind of brought the water levels up everywhere. So there is a little bit of standing water there just towards where this back half of the field is cover cropped there, and I think the willow is really going to help with soaking up some of that water and improving soil health. The other area that I think would really benefit from having some willow planted in it is this area behind me that runs along the sleeper wall, and there are actually flower beds going fairly closely up to the wall, but there is a strip that's maybe about 2 meters wide that just isn't suitable for planting in because there's a lot of clinker in the soil, which is remnants from the old railways, and it's just a really difficult place to grow things. And what I have done in the past is grown cover crops in this area, but I think it would be quite nice to have something more permanent like some willow cuttings there. I also think that there might be a little bit of a problem with some contamination or some excess nutrients. I have noticed that the plants don't grow particularly well towards the back end of this field, and hopefully having some willow planted in the vicinity is going to help with some remediation of that if that is the case. Before I show you some more of the amazing benefits of willow, I want to show you how I'm taking cuttings. Willow roots really easily and it takes minimal effort. I've measured out the length of space I want to cover with willow cuttings at around 2 foot spacing in between the cuttings. I'm going to need around 150 cuttings for this project, so I need to get going. I'm cutting the willow rods about 12 inches long, making sure they're about the thickness of a pencil. I'm also making sure that I cut these rods in such a way that I know which is the top and which is the bottom. The top has a straight cut while the bottom has a sloped cut. This way, when I come to plant them, I know to put the sloped end down into the soil. In my previous video from 2021, I used plastic weed membrane to suppress the grass and allow the willow to establish. This worked well, but in hindsight I wish I hadn't done this, as the plastic is now permanently stuck in place. In fact, a couple of weeks ago we had some strong winds and one of my willow trees blew over. I was surprised that this had happened, but then when I looked closer I realised the plastic had been choking the base of the plant and had effectively cut it down. I also wish I'd have done some pre-preparation for planting today's cuttings to set the grass back, but I think I can find a way to work around it. So I've got all of my willow cuttings together now, along with some horse bedding from the farm which I'm going to use as my mulch. I could also use cardboard, sheep or alpaca wool, wood chips or leaves, anything that's an organic mulch that's going to suppress weeds and eventually break down into the soil. I'm going to trim the grass pretty short in the areas that I want to plant the cuttings to set the grass back as much as possible. I'm going to mulch the ground first and then push the willow rods into it. I'm putting around 6 inches in the ground, leaving 6 inches above. Right, I think that is enough for today. It's getting a bit dark now and I am ready to move on to the other half of this field, so I will come back and do that tomorrow. To willow planting, let's go! Apologies for the close-up face shots, but I've left my tripod in the house today and I really just want to get this job done because we are due to have a really bad storm tomorrow and it's going to be very high winds and lots of rain. So my plan is to get this done this afternoon before the sun goes down, which is only in about an hour's time, and before the storm comes tomorrow, because I definitely don't want to be working out in that tomorrow. So I'm going to really whip through this as quick as possible. It is proving a lot more difficult to plant willow in this field because of all of this clinker. I just keep hitting it in the ground and I can't find a good place to put my whips. That went in quite nicely. I'm actually just putting it in now and then I'm going to come back and top it up with straw afterwards because it's chucking it down, which hence why I'm filming on my phone now. The camera's had to go away and I just want to get it done and dusted. Oh, that was a nice one. So this shouldn't take me long. It's going quite well. Oh yeah. These curly willow rods as well have been quite difficult to plant because when you're putting quite a bit of force down on them to plant them, they just bend it where the rod naturally curves, so you can't get them in as deep. That one went in okay actually, but yeah, it's a shame because I do love the way that the curly ones look, but I've just been planting less of them because of how hard they are to put in. Here's another really cool thing that you can do with willow, and I've got some leftovers here from the cuttings that I took that I don't need, and I'm going to make what is known as willow water, and this stuff is really handy for helping to root other cuttings that you might be taking out in the garden, and it can also boost growth and the health of other plants too when used as a soil drench or a foliar feed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop these willow stems up a little bit more. And you can also kind of bash these with a hammer or something like that to break them up a little bit more. But I'm just doing this like so. And this works best with kind of the greener, fresher stuff. So give those a good snip up. And what I've got here is some freshly boiled water. So I'm going to pop these willow trimmings into the boiling water and let them soak for 24 hours or so to release the rooting hormones and everything that's going to help to benefit our other plants into the water, so that we can use it as a soil drench or a foliar feed. And once the willow water has been steeping with the willow in it for about 24 hours, you can decant the liquid into a jar and you can keep that in the fridge for 2 or 3 months. And if you are hoping to root some cuttings, then you can sit those cuttings in the willow water for 24 hours prior to planting them up. Use the normal procedure that you would do to propagate cuttings. And you can also use the willow water at a 1 part willow water to 9 parts water ratio for watering plants with. Just another quick thing to note about willow is obviously it is a very large and fast growing tree, or it can be if you don't manage it correctly, and you want to be really mindful about where you're planting it. So be careful to not plant it near houses, near to pavements and drainage systems and other things like that. So just a word of warning, be careful where you plant your willow. And that is it, guys. The willow planting is done, and it really is as simple as that. All I did was trim down the rods to about 12 inches and push them into the ground. And I've just put some straw and hay mulch down just to suppress the grass and weeds that will compete with the willow whips. And I'm hoping that come spring these willow whips will have some shoots coming from them, and I'm excited to share that with you. So if you want to follow along, then don't forget to subscribe and to click the notifications bell so that you get notified when I post a new video. I post videos every Sunday at around 7 PM, so keep your eye out for new videos released every week. Thanks guys, bye!